Hey guys, welcome to chessroads.com. Today I'm gonna show you a game which was played between Nakamura and Ponomario in St. Louis 2011. Okay, here Nakamura is white and Ponomario is black. Played d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop e7, c into d5, e into d5, bishop f4, c6, queen c2, preventing bishop f5, bishop d6. Here Ponomura just tries to go to an endgame. Bishop into d6, queen into d6, e3, queen g6. Now white cannot play a move like queen b3. In view of this g2 pawn, he cannot move his bishop or do castling, so he simply accepted his challenge to play endgame by taking queen into g6, h into g6. Here he played b4. This was a standard attack known by many grandmasters and many players. Maybe the idea of b4 is to play a4 and b5. This is called minority attack, attacking with these two pawns and trying to leave a weakness on c6 and d5 pawns. So a6 was forced to play. Here white played a very good positional move, f3. The main idea of f3 is to simply prevent bishop f5, and this bishop on c8 is very bad. If you play bishop f5, you can simply play moves like g4, and this bishop don't have any retreating square or to g6. And the other ideas are he can simply keep the king on f2 or d2 because there is no queens. He need not do castling, and the king on center will be much helpful instead of castling his king. And there is one more important idea is he can open the center by playing a move like e4 and having a center control. So f3 is a multiple idea move. Knight d7. Now there is no bishop f5, so he can happily play bishop d3. Knight e7. He is trying to just keep his knights to play bishop f5 maybe. Knight g2, g5, king f2, knight f6. Now he's threatening bishop f5, trying to exchange the bishops. So g4. Nakamura not allowing his counters. So king d8. Now the idea of king d8, he wants to play maybe a move like knight e8 to d6 and maybe c4 or even rook d8. King g3, bishop d7. Now a moves like a5 sometimes may be possible, so white should be prepared for a5 at one point. So here he played a4. Now if he plays a move like a5, then he can play b5. So here he played knight c8, h3, rook e8, king f2 supporting e3, knight d6. Now the idea of knight d6 is simple, is to play a5. Why I am saying a5 is now white cannot react with b into a5, because after getting the rook open file, black is comfortable. So he needs to play a move like b5. For example, let us see. Okay, a5. b5, then he will simply grab with c into b5. After knight into b5, sorry cb5. After knight into b5, knight into b5, bishop into b5, bishop into b5, a into b5, he will simply play b6, and he will be left with b6 and a5, a connected pawns, and b6 pawn cannot be attacked because there is a pawn on b5, white pawn on b5. So black will be having a strong passed pawn on a5. So white really don't want to allow this. If he allows that pawn is good enough to attain at least a draw for black. So here he played a5, not allowing him to play a moves like a5. So rook e7, rook ac1, knight fe8, knight g3. Now the idea is to maybe play knight e5 or knight h5. He's just threatening, or even to play a moves like e4 is also good. g6, h4, keeping this rook open file. G into h4, rook into h4. Here I think black played a mistake by playing f5. The reason why f5 is mistake simply because he is leaving a bad pawn on f5. After exchanges, this f5 pawn is terribly weak, and he is also closing this bishop on f5. And this f5 pawn can be easily attacked by playing rook h8 and rook f8. There is no way that black can prevent this f5. So f5 should be a big positional weakness. So in this position, maybe black can try even a moves like knight c7, knight e6, or even knight c7, knight b5, rook e8 will be a good fair chance for black to play some game. So here f5 is a big weakness. He took g into f5, knight into f5. After a couple of exchanges, white simply played rook h8, rook b8. Now he is trying to do some counter activity by playing b6, maybe a b5, even though he has a pawn on a6. But still rook b2 is little dangerous. So knight a4, not allowing him any counter chances. King c7, knight b6, bishop e6, and rook f8. Now this f5 pawn is dead. There is no way that black can support this f5 pawn. See, if I place a move like knight g7, for example, let us pause this position for a while and try to find a good move for white. He can win this position immediately. Okay, so if he plays move knight g7, there is a good move for white. Knight a8 check. Now king cannot go like king d7 or king d6. This rook b8 will not be having any support. So you have to grab this with rook into a8, and rook into a8 wins the exchange. So knight g7 is not possible, so the pawn on f5 is not supported. He played rook f7, rook into f7, bishop into f7, bishop into f5 wins the pawn. After knight d6, bishop d3, rook h8, rook g1, king d8. In my view, this king d8 also don't have a really good plan. Maybe he just wants to remove this king from a pin like rook g7, but rook h2 check may be a good option for black. Knight a4, he wants to fix this knight on c5 and keep a piece tied for supporting b7 pawn. Knight c4, knight c5, rook h2 check, rook g2, rook into g2, king into g2. Here black played king c7. If black captures this pawn on e3, he can simply play king f2, knight d1, king e1, knight b2, knight into b7 check, king c7, and bishop into a6. Now these pawns will go. So knight into e3 will be a mistake. So here he played king c7 and supporting this rook on this pawn on b7, bishop into c4, b into c4, and here white played a good move by playing knight a4, not allowing black to get any small counter chances by playing b6 or c4, bishop e8 trying to play c5, knight c3, b6, e4. Now in this position white is clearly winning. These outside passed pawns are very decisive in this position. King b7, king f2, c5. Here Ponomario played a big blunder by playing c5, b into c5. Here he resigned in view of white is getting so many passed pawns, and black pawns are hard stopped, and there is no entry file for black. So this was a good game played by Nakamura and Ponomario. Hope you enjoyed the game. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave comments. See you in the next class. Bye.